from the News Channel 5 Network. This is Score on Business.
Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks. I'm your host today, and also a serial entrepreneur. So many prospective entrepreneurs aren't sure where to start. We'll start providing a tip on each show, and also Score offers low-cost classes and no-charge counseling specifically to guide folks through thinking about starting and succeeding in business. More information is available at scorenashville.org. Make sure to click on the Workshops tab at the top of the page. They're about a half day, usually on weekends, and $25. Your tip for this show: differentiation is important. What can you do to set yourself apart from competition? And hey, let's get to our first guest today is Dean Wegner. And Dean is the CEO and co-founder of Authentically American, a veteran-owned clothing company exclusively providing products that are made in America. After serving our country in the military, and thank you for your service.
It was an honor. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, he was with a large consulting company, Procter & Gamble, Mars, and CEO of Omega Apparel. And thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So tell us about one thing that I have always been impressed with is the military leadership style. And when I meet military leaders, I never hear I'm the best thing since sliced white bread. What I hear is my team is the best thing since sliced white bread. So tell us about your leadership style and what you've learned through the years.
You got it. So for me, Pete, my leadership style starts with one adjective, and that's servant leadership. And very fortunate early in my education with West Point, and then continuing active duty with flight school, Ranger School, 7 years active duty, that really taught me what that means. And for me, it's about priorities. And what it says is I put my team's priorities before my priorities. I put their needs before my needs. And it's amazing when you do that. You know, they understand that you care about them more than you care about yourself, and then they really are inspired and want to do great things.
Yeah, if companies would just get that concept, you know, we fret over the growth in the GDP. If companies would get that concept more, then we wouldn't be worrying about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the app. Okay, so and talk to us about the importance of being customer focused and customer centric, and kind of what you're doing with Authentically American there.
I'll tell you, Pete, sometimes people lose sight of how businesses are successful, and it's because of a customer. Customers are the only one that write a business a check for their goods or services that enable them to be successful. And I don't want to oversimplify, but sometimes you just need to simplify it. It's acutely listening to what your customer is telling you. And it's amazing if you're listening and hearing what their needs are, how then you can go ahead and start to develop a solution that meets their needs. And you know, it's that small shift from, okay, it's a focus on me and my company versus a focus on my customer. Again, that's that same type of magic that occurs. And that really was the inspiration for Authentically American, because our customer are American consumers, and there's just a growing patriotism, growing sentiment for made in USA. And over my career, I've been most passionate about job creation. And when more and more companies like Authentically American commit to making, sourcing, producing their products in the U.S., more jobs are going to be created. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, in my humble opinion, and this is my opinion and not certainly not Channel 5's, but the U.S., in my opinion, made a very big error in allowing manufacturing know-how, and including making clothes to be exported. And you know, we're a country where that knowledge is good, and we need jobs for people. You know, and so I really appreciate your focus there in doing that.
It's not easy, Pete, but you know, creating jobs is important. So we're going to find partners and suppliers here in the U.S. to make it happen.
So tell us a little more about Authentically American and what you want to achieve, and what folks need to know.
You got it. So, you know, a lot of times you learn based on history. So I'll give a little history lesson about the apparel industry, and it's tragic. So think of 30 years ago, 75% of the apparel in the U.S., Pete, was made in the U.S. Mid-90s, 20 years ago, when I graduated from West Point, it was still 50% made in the U.S. And I asked people, what would you guess? And like, half that, 20%, maybe 10%. And I tell them 2%. Only 2% is made here in the U.S. And that really happened because apparel production is a labor-intensive business, but I think the macroeconomic environment right now, labor overseas is increasing. There's more of a growing patriotism and sentiment for Made in USA than ever. So again, it's not easy, but we are finding partners that can make it happen.
Well, and if you can automate, your partners can automate where they can. I spent, I've worked at FedEx for a long time when I was in the 90s. I've been in every textile mill in the South, and what they are now are empty buildings. And over in Greenville, South Carolina, there's a town, it's a different name, but it's Metro Greenville. It's a ghost town. It was where it was street after street after street after street of textile mills, and those are gone, and those jobs are gone.
It's literally devastating, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and really what we're trying to do is help tell a story that Made in USA is possible. So I know at the beginning of the show they showed our two logos. So one was that Authentically American stamp, and you remember the days when they used to stamp things?
Yes.
So that was the idea, that it's authentic, it's real, it's stamped, and that's the inside label. The other one that we've found is more powerful. The other logo that was showed was that vintage U.S. flag.
Right.
And that's that external symbol, and we've partnered with a lot of companies. So it may be Pete Incorporated.
Yeah.
And your company is proudly made in America, and you as a business owner are proud American, and your services are based on creating jobs. So we give you an opportunity. For example, if you want your team to have polos, you've got swag, whatever it may be, that you've got your logo front and center, but then there's that vintage U.S. flag. That's an external business demonstration.
That's a gorgeous logo.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I like that. So, this is a question that you've addressed some already, but let me ask it again for any further detail. Tell us about the apparel industry. Did you answer that one completely?
I think another thing that I didn't realize until buying Omega Apparel 5 years ago, that again, this is the point, that it's not easy, and you can't do everything. I didn't realize at that point that, okay, if you're making a hat versus a knit t-shirt versus a woven dress shirt versus a hoodie, you'd think, well, it's all sewing machines, right? But it's different, unique machinery, it's different expertise, so that is something that it's made it challenging. So oftentimes people have looked at our items and they say, you know what, this is phenomenal quality. And it would be compared to a Nike, Under Armour, some of the premium brands that you find out there. But the major point of differentiation for us is Nike, for example, their manufacturing network is all around the globe. Our manufacturing network is right here in the U.S. So we've got somebody in Texas that's doing hats for us. We've got somebody else that are partners out west that are doing hoodies and t-shirts. We've got somebody else that's doing polos. So it's taken a lot of work to find that network, but you know what, the more our business builds, the more business theirs builds, and then that ultimately leads to job creation. And at the end of the day, Authentically American is about job creation. What a wonderful thing to be doing. So you have been an entrepreneur a long time. What are some things, like, why should entrepreneurs have a passion for their business? It is a great question, and I will tell you advice I gave to my oldest daughter. We have 4 kids, and she said, Dad, I'm reading all these stats, this industry's growing, this is the highest paying. And I said, Kara, you know what, don't even worry about that. Find what you love. Find what you're passionate about, because if you do what you love, you do what you're passionate about, are you going to be good at it? You're going to be great. Yeah. And if you're great at something, you're going to be, relatively speaking, well paid for it. So I said, you know what, read those to get an idea of what's going on in the marketplace, but you know what, do what you love. Do what you're passionate about. And right now I could not be more excited, Pete, because I'm passionate about job creation. Right. And when you create jobs, that gives you an opportunity to go have a positive impact on people's lives. Well, that I'm not going to get into myself, but I have a vision somewhat similar to that. I mean, creating jobs is a really important thing. It's been forgotten about in in the U.S. and I think that's just a wonderful thing to do. And being an entrepreneur is hard sometimes. There are some days where you just want to not get out of bed, but it helps you keep doing it. Oh, absolutely. And I've said, when I'm working, I don't want it to feel like work.
Yeah.
And when I'm pursuing what I'm passionate about, it's not work. You know, it's pursuing my passion.
Awesome.
It's pursuing what I love. And not every
Yeah.
day's a bed of roses, but if you just keep that in mind and you're doing what you love, you're doing what you're passionate about, you know what,
Right.
you're going to be great at what you do.
Dean, thank you so much
It
for
was a
being
pleasure.
here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
All right.